Hello, and welcome to another episode of Movies That Make Us. I'm Jake.
I'm Tracy.
And I'm Valerie.
And I'm apparently going back through puberty again. My voice cracking there at the end of hello.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, 200 times. I don't know what's going on.
I think it's just the weather. My throat is so dry.
Yeah.
It's that time of year, and I keep going from different places.
You're in different time zones and different.
Yeah, it's 11 o'clock p.m. for me right now. Like, that's where I'm at.
So this is an After Dark episode.
It is, but in my brain, even more.
Ooh.
So get ready, kids.
Ooh.
I've got the bleep button ready to go, just in case. I'm not worried
I'm not going to swear. Tracy might swear at me with my choices.
Well, it wouldn't be
well, after
the type of show if you and Tracy didn't upset each other with the choices that you've made. So
it's so funny because, like, we're so nice. I mean, at least Tracy is. And so it's funny to like see how like far off we are. But I also wanted to show you what I got in the mail. I got my running tank top in the mail, and I'm going to wear it, Tracy, to the gym tomorrow so that I can run in it and make sure there's no weird rubbing.
Good
and
call.
I was like, what can I be? And I looked up bluebirds at Disney, and there are so many different birds that are blue.
Yes,
there's the Pixar bird with the big feathers that jumps on the wire, and then there are the bluebirds from Cinderella, and
that's a very good
so
point.
Many.
That's
there's
a very
so
good
many.
Point.
Yeah.
I could. Is the blue fairy the one that's a little bit plumper?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
the blue fairy from Pinocchio, or the blue fairy from?
No, not Pinocchio. From Sleeping Beauty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I think
she's fun. The blue fairy from Sleeping Beauty is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although you would make a beautiful blue fairy from Pinocchio.
I don't think I would make a beautiful fairy at all of any kind, but I appreciate it.
This is coming from a guy who's dressing as Rapunzel. You would make a beautiful blue fairy.
I don't know if that gives you more credit, like more credibility in this conversation or not, Tracy. Like,
it's going to be interesting
for a Rapunzel dress. I don't know that really. Okay.
It's going to be interesting taking that through TSA. So we'll see what.
They don't care. They've seen worse.
They don't care. They see weirder stuff all the time.
I do want to say thank you to everybody who donated to our team for the Run Disney for Anaheim. But Tracy, because he's crazy Tracy, it still needs to raise money for his Dopey run in Orlando. And this is how crazy Tracy is. He is going to run in Orlando. Is it the 5K, 10K, and half marathon?
And the full.
And
he's doing the full Dopey.
I just threw up in my mouth. And a full marathon to raise money for the American Cancer Society. And then he's going to go home for a week. And then he's going to
not even
4 days. And then he's going to meet us in Anaheim, where he's going to run it all again. We need to get you it like a psychiatric, like tested, or we need to do some kind of intervention.
Here's how sad this
is. He's starting his running in Orlando, and he's just running from Orlando to Anaheim, and just going to be
yeah. And for those that are only listening and not viewing, I'm not an athletic person. I'm not an athletic man, so this is not easy. But
you seem to be, because you do this every year.
I've got 45 minutes Monday, 45 minutes Tuesday. I'm going to walk 3 miles. No, excuse me. I'm 45 Monday, 45 Tuesday. Wednesday will be a 6-mile walk. Thursday will be a 13-mile jog walk. And then Friday over at the Oval, I'm going to do 20.
I think you sound pretty athletic. Just saying. Just saying.
I'm going to do a ton of walking tomorrow and Tuesday.
Excellent.
I'm going to a convention. And then
you're doing the Brandon Sanderson one.
I am. I'm going to Dragon Steel.
Nice.
Tomorrow, so
my friend my friend Gama Martinez has a booth there, so stop
Oh,
and
does
say
he?
hello. Yeah,
Perfect. Yeah, I'm going just to go, like just as like
That's weird.
I know. I haven't done a convention like that in a long time. So I'm a little bit nervous. I don't know if I remember how to do it. So we'll see how it goes. But so I'll walk a ton then. And then Wednesday I'll get 45 minutes to an hour in. And then Thursday we're doing 3 miles for the human race.
We're doing the human race out in Sandy. Yeah.
Which I think is such a funny name for a race, but I get it, but it still sounds funny.
Yeah.
It's the human race.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I can't help but think of George Costanza's charity from Seinfeld.
Yes.
Like it's the human race for the human fund or whatever. It's
Yeah.
but I
And
think
I'm going to that with you guys. I'm kind of adding myself onto your date with your wife.
Yep. We're excited to have you. I mean, my wife's funny though. I think we're gonna walk mostly because she's like,
Sure.
I'm not running, just so you
Yeah.
know. I said
Yeah.
it's a fun run / walk. You don't have to
Yeah.
run. So
There's all sorts of kids. I've done that race a couple times, and it's fun. There's lots of kids. There's costumes, and
Can I leapfrog these kids as I'm running?
totally.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's required actually.
I'm going to get arrested. Every day.
I will say
Woman's arrested today.
after Thanksgiving dinner on Thursday, I'm planning on just being in a coma for Friday, Tracy.
Okay.
I'm not doing 20 miles or whatever ridiculous amount you're
I got to
doing.
burn off all that pie.
Well,
Do
I should
you?
probably do that too, but I'm going to do it by sleeping.
Jake, I visually got this picture of you at your convention. Like, you know, when you have somebody go, like
Whoa.
you usually are the one that's talking, or like you're a manager or whatever, and then you get pushed aside so someone else can talk and you just don't know where to put your hands. Like,
Yeah.
I just imagined you at the convention, like, what do I do? Where do I put my hands?
I don't have a lanyard.
I do. I have a lanyard with a
I don't
badge.
have, but you don't have to like run anywhere. You don't have to take
No, I
pictures
could just-
or
The
you
only
just get
thing
to
I
hang
have
out.
to be at a certain time is I got picked for one of the drawings to get book signed.
Nice.
That's awesome.
So, and that's at a specific time. So that's the only thing that I have to be somewhere at a specific time. Everything else,
Are
I
they
think they're
doing
just right by here.
panels and stuff too?
Yeah, there's a bunch of panels,
Cool.
and they've got some other authors that are coming too that they're spotlighting as well, like Chris Paolini, who did the Aragon,
Yeah.
not Aragorn, but the
Yeah.
dragon.
Right.
the
I know the ones
fantasy
you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And then a couple. Dan Wells, I think, comes to everything that Brandon Sanderson does because
Good Wells is cool.
yeah. So,
Right.
so they'll have that. They're doing like their podcast live and things like that, and they are doing a release party on Tuesday night for the last in the Skyward series, Defiant. I'm not as big a fan of that series, and so I'm not as excited about that portion of it. But everything else is going to be a lot of fun. So
That's great.
yeah,
I'm actually off work for 2 weeks, which is nice, but I have like 85 movies to watch because I have missed so many things. But tomorrow I'm excited, or I guess today I'm excited because I'm going to be seeing The Color Purple. And
Oh,
I am
nice.
crossing my fingers that it's going to be as amazing as I think it's going to be. And
Trailer
then I
was-
get, yeah. And then the new Nicolas Cage movie I'll be seeing tonight. Something scenario. I don't have my phone on me, so I don't know what it's called. And then tomorrow, I'm going to see Wish because I
Okay.
missed that screening, and I'm going to see. I'm not seeing Wonka. I'm seeing that in a couple of weeks because the
I
Wonka
wanna see
screening
that
is
one.
tomorrow night. But I haven't seen Napoleon yet, and I have to see Wish and Napoleon because I have to talk about them on Wednesday on Good Things Utah. So because
Nice.
Thanksgiving is Thursday and Black Friday is Black Friday,
Right.
I'll be live on Good Things Utah on Wednesday to talk about the shows that are opening for Thanksgiving.
Nice.
And I have to say there's another animated movie in there that kind of snuck up on me this year called Leo that you can watch on Netflix right
one.
now. And I watched it when I was with Sammy and Dave in San Diego, just on like my pre-screen thing, and they were both like, whatever. And so they were chatting and doing stuff, and I turned it on, and they both became enamored with it.
Hmm.
And then when Dave and I were in San Diego again to see his mom and we were just chilling, he's like, "Can we watch Leo again?" And I'm like,
All right.
so I'm going to say it has, like, Dave loves it. It's an
Okay.
Adam Sandler production.
Oh,
Adam
I've
Sandler does
that
play the
trailer.
main character. But our favorite comedian plays the other character.
Bill Burr.
So that's Bill Burr. So it's kind of, I think anytime angry Bill Burr is in anything, Dave's like,
Yeah.
but it was very funny and very smart and a lot of fun. So I'll be talking about that.
Nice.
I'll be talking about Wish. I'll be talking about Napoleon.
I'm nervous about Wish.
And one more.
I can't tell if Disney is just really off their game with marketing with some
Right.
of these animated films, or if Wish isn't good. I can't tell what
I
it
can't
is.
tell, but
I mean,
It
there was a
looks-
lot
it
of
looks
stuff
fun.
there was a lot of stuff at both D23 last year and Destination D23 about Wish. And there have been a lot of pop-up stuff about Wish all around, except for, I think, in Utah. But everywhere that I've gone outside of
Okay.
Utah, I've seen a ton of stuff about
maybe
Wish.
'cause
So
they know everybody in Utah will go to any Disney film anyway.
probably, yeah, I don't know. Like, we're
totally.
usually like the top place for Disney movies. So
Right. They figure we don't
Um,
need to spend marketing dollars.
yeah, they sent me a bunch of stuff for like the soundtrack and that kind of thing. And so, like, I have a good feeling about it, but it's going to be really hard for the category. We're going to start getting into nomination season, and I'm sure we'll do our regular show about kind of our picks.
Mhm.
But I have to vote in a couple weeks for the Utah Film Critic Association to get our initial votes in before we then all come together and
Right.
do that. And I have to say, my top 5 without Wish is already full.
Yeah.
So it will have to beat some pretty good animated movies this year. But yeah, I have Across the Spider-Verse, of course, of number
course.
1 in that category. And I also have it number 1 as best film of the year. So
Wow.
suck it. Not
Well,
you guys.
A few
But
years
just-
ago, when the original came out, the Utah Film Critics Association did have
Yeah.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse as the number 1 film of the year.
But this is the thing, it wasn't in any of the consideration online stuff. And this year Variety actually has it in the contenders, in the top 30 contenders that
Hmm.
could possibly be best picture. And it would be amazing if we had that, even it to be nominated as best picture, because categories are starting to change and
Mhm.
animated movies are starting to become big contenders. And so I don't understand why you can't. I don't remember, I was going to look this up, is that there was another animated movie that was it Frozen, that was voted in there as one of the nominees for best picture one year? Or was it Little
I think it was
Mermaid? I
Frozen.
can't
I could be
remember.
wrong.
I don't want to look it up. I'm lazy.
Anyway, yeah.
You can get mad at us because we don't know it and comment on this, and then we'll all know it.
That's fine.
We like
We're
a little
used to it.
friction. We like a little friction.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm basically making up for a lot of movies that I haven't watched. I have about 7 in theater screenings this week, and then I have about 11 screeners that I need to watch, and then I have 5 more movies next week, and then I still have some that I have to make up for. There's a lot that I just haven't seen. So
Well, I'll tell you what though, that Napoleon one is wild to me. It's wild.
Mhm.
Number one, I don't know, when you're doing a sequel, it's hard when you get a different actor to play the character. And who would have thought that a curly-haired kid from Preston, Idaho would end up being an emperor in Europe? I mean, that's just crazy to me. It seems like a leap.
Jake, are you being sarcastic right now?
100% I'm being sarcastic.
I know.
For those that I hope my professors at the U would be furious at me where I studied history if I didn't know the difference between Napoleon Bonaparte and Napoleon Dynamite.
You had John Heder and you replaced him with Joaquin Phoenix. What?
I mean,
What
it's
are
an
they
upgrade.
thinking?
Acting wise, it's an upgrade.
Oh,
No-
I don't know.
Is it
Come on.
header or heater?
I've heard
Uh-huh.
it both ways.
Yeah,
Tomato.
but
I
met
Colin
a heater.
Brokeman because Joaquin will kill you if you call him Joe Quinn. So
Yes, for sure.
but when you're big, you can say anyway.
But you know, when you're working with Ridley, you know,
yeah.
although
and that's where
here's
like
the thing.
Ridley is like either hit or
Yes.
super miss for me.
Yes.
So
And
we're gonna see.
I've heard the action sequences are great, but I've heard it's as even though it's 3 hours, I hear it's like kind of like they're just touching the surface of the character. So
Yeah.
there is a 4-hour Apple version coming. There's a 4-hour director's cut.
Yeah.
And there's a 4-hour Killers of the Flower Moon cut available.
I'm seeing that this week too, so we'll see.
It
They're both
doesn't need
getting
to be
mixed
4 hours.
reviews. Both of those movies are getting mixed reviews, but they're both on the list for Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Director, Best Soundtrack, everything. So I have to go and see them.
I think one of the dark horse ones that seems to be coming up that I'm hearing a lot of, at least critics saying good things about, is The Holdovers.
That is a
The
good
Holdovers
movie.
is a
I
very
really
good
like
movie. If you like movies like The Tender Bar, which I really enjoyed The Tender Bar. If you like oh my gosh, it's one of my top 5 movies of all time with Robin Williams and Matt Damon.
Oh, Good Will Hunting.
Good
Will Hunting.
I almost said Good Things Utah.
Kind of Dead
Well,
Poet
Good Things
Society. It's along the same tone as these like off-key students, a teacher that kind of, you know, helps them come into their own, and they have this bond. It's a very quiet movie that is just written well and acted well. It's nothing super new, but a just really well-made movie. Just like that, I went on and on about The Tender Bar on our show for like a whole year. And I really love that movie and Air, which was also one of my favorite movies this year, is both in top contenders for Best Picture, Best Actors, Best Screenplay. So I do like both of that because I really liked Air. So,
Well, we will talk more about awards and movies and things like that as the year goes on, because I'm sure the nominations, once they come out, we'll talk about that. And that's next year. But anyway, today we're talking about movies from the year we were born right now. Well, this is not the year we were born, but right now we're talking about the movies from the year we were born, or the years, because we were all born in different years. And that's what we're talking. I wore a shirt appropriate.
You did.
I can't see it, Jake. What you're only really your head right now.
Oh, I can see it. That's the ET shirt.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an ET shirt, because my year is 1982. But I took ET off of my list because obviously everyone can agree it's an amazing movie, and I don't think there was anything cultural wise that even touches what ET was as a phenomenon in the pop culture psyche at the time. I'm not even sure that's but
I don't even know either, but we're going to pretend. And we're going to go around. We're going to follow a little bit of some rules today, and we're going to do one at a time.
Okay.
Go around, and then we'll just run through our list of, you know, ones that we should just touch on. But I'll start since this is my idea. And I'm going to totally surprise everybody out of the gate and say Rocky 2.
What?
I know. You are shocked. You are shocked. I love this movie so much. And because Creed 2 is actually my favorite in the Creed series. And in Creed 2, which I did watch again over the weekend, there are a lot of quotes from that movie that are from Rocky 2, because they both propose to their wives in Creed 2 and Rocky 2, which is really, really fun. They're kind of both going up against somebody that they know is kind of a better fighter, and they're the underdog, but I feel like Rocky's always the underdog and then he always wins. But no, I really like Rocky 2. I still think it didn't do as well as at the box office as the original, but I still think it's just as good. It has so many different aspects. Like, you have the same formula from the beginning, but I think all the Rocky and Creed movies follow that formula, and I love it. But yeah, I thought it was just as strong.
Yeah, I agree. I think Rocky 2 is one of those rare sequels that hits the same heights that the original did, and that was hard to do with
Yeah.
Rocky being the original, because Rocky's really good. One of the things I've always liked about Rocky 2 more than Rocky is that he does actually win at the end, and I like happy endings. And it's
Yeah.
not that the other one wasn't a happy ending, but it's kind of that I went the distance. That was what I set out to do.
Yeah.
I think we all wanted to see the little guy come back and win it
Yeah.
in the second movie. So
Yeah.
that's a great
Agreed.
choice. Obviously, none of us are going to argue.
I also love the part where they're both, you have Creed and you have Rocky, and they're sitting there and they're like, Rocky, like, what do you think is going to happen? And he's like, you know, are you going to be able to win this guy? And he's like, well, he seems pretty mad, or he seems pretty angry. Like, I just love that line, because Creed's over there like, da, 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 and then they go to Rocky and he's like, well, he seems pretty angry. You know, just, there's so many good lines.
Yeah.
Like how he proposes. So do you think you might want to marry me? Like
the proposal scene is classic to me, and I love it because it's a callback to the first movie, because those guys that he's doing the loan shark guys that he's talking to, they're like, yeah, take her to a park. And then he says a not nice word that I'm not going to repeat on air, or to the zoo. Take her to the zoo. They love the zoo. And so he takes her to the zoo to propose. I'm like, this is just classic Rocky. Like, oh yeah, that was actually a pretty good idea. Even though they were insulting him, he doesn't even know.
Well, then I love it, because in Creed 2, when Michael B. Jordan's Creed is going to propose to his girlfriend, he's out in the hallway and he's like, well, how did you propose? And he's like, well, I mean, because he's telling, you know, Adonis to like tell her, give her your heart and get down on one knee and be suave. And he's like, well, what did you do? And he's like, I mean, I kind of just said, hey, you know, you should get married. And he's like, but like, don't do that, you know? Yeah, and then Adonis went in and he kind of flubbed his as well, because his girlfriend didn't have her hearing aids in. So he like did this bleeding heart, like total thing. And she turns around and shuts the door on his face. I love both of those. I just love how they're in tandem. It makes my heart happy. That's my first one.
I love, last thing I'll say about Rocky 2, the scene where, you know, she's been unconscious in a coma since the baby was born, and Rocky cannot focus on training until he knows that she's going to be okay. And when she wakes up and she kind of pulls him close, she's like, I need you to do one thing for me. It's like, what? She's like, come here. He leans in. She's like, win. I'm getting goosebumps now. I'm like, finally, he's gonna like, that's gonna unleash the beast, and he's and even Mick knows it. He's like, yeah, let's go.
It's got some veins popping out.
So I'm glad you went with Rocky 2 for your first pick, Val, because in 1982, Rocky 3 came out, and that is one of my picks.
What?
It is not as strong as Rocky or Rocky 2, but I still love it.
Rocky 4.
Rocky 4 is a classic, and I won't hear anything.
I know, I love it, but so many people argue with us about it.
No, those people are wrong.
They are wrong.
Listen,
I'll fight you.
At Rocky
let's all just come together as Rocky fans and agree that Rocky 5 should have never happened. As long as we can agree on that.
Yes.
So
I totally keep forgetting that there was a Rocky 5.
I know, and that's the best thing to do with that one. But I love this because this is Rocky now. He's a champ, and he's settling into that, and Mick is protecting him. He's kind of become a paper champ because Mick knows he's not one of these young, healthy fighters. He's been through it, and the fact that he's at the top right now, like, he's not going to be able to keep up with someone like a Clubber Lang. And in their first match, he just gets clobbered. Yeah, I said clobbered, not clubbered, so it's fine. But I just and then Rocky's got to totally reinvent himself, going out to the West Coast, training with Apollo. You get one of the best 1980s accidental homoerotic scenes ever as they're running on the beach, and he's wearing the crop top shirt. Apollo is
very short shorts.
Yeah, and they're running through the water. When they get there, they're all hugging and stuff. I'm like, it's
Yeah,
up
but
there with the
They made
volleyball.
so
scene
many
in Top
dreams
Gun.
come true in that
Oh, yeah.
scene from all sides. All
From all
sides were
everybody was there for
excited.
it.
Everyone
Everybody was there for it.
thought it was a win.
the director is like, that's cinema history right there.
It's so
Yeah.
inclusive. I love it.
I just this movie is just it kind of creates that relationship between Apollo and Rocky that now plays out through the rest of the series with the Creed series and everything else. And Hulk Hogan as Thunder Lips is just awful.
That is still
But
the
it's
most
so-
awful name. Don't Google that name. Don't. Don't
No.
do it. Because like some people are like, I wonder what Hulk Hogan's name was in that movie. And
Yeah,
then
just Google Hulk Hogan in
Yeah.
Rocky 3. That's the safe way to
Don't-
find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't Google Thunder Lips. Hulk Hogan is such a bad actor, and I will always
awful.
say that. I
Horrible.
mean, anyway, but I love Rocky 3. It's one of my favorite movies, and I love the scene
Yay,
at the
go
end
Rocky.
where they're
Excellent
boxing.
choice.
They're doing the rematch. It's like, you gonna ring the bell?
Rocky.
And Apollo's like, ding,
Ding,
ding.
Ding.
Yeah, I love it every time.
I love it. It reminds me of Ted Lasso. Whistle. Whistle.
They did that in Next Goal Wins as well.
Yes.
I'm excited. I am
Whistle.
going. I'm going to see that movie
That
this
one-
week as well.
that
So,
one is
and hopefully
also
we
one
can
that-
talk about that.
That one's
Yeah.
also one that's very inclusive, which is cool.
Yeah, it is.
Yay.
And
Yeah, it is.
I just got a hold of the documentary. I'm going to watch that hopefully this week.
Nice.
I would like
Nice.
to. I'd like to watch that as well.
Yeah.
So,
let's just make a pact that we're going to watch it, and then both of them, and then we can talk about it because I would really like to talk about it.
All
Like
right.
a blood pact or just a regular pact? I think regular one would be fine in this
Yeah.
case, right?
I don't think we need a blood oath or anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Can we just blink twice? All right, we're in.
All right. Tracy,
We can't pinky swear because you know.
Well,
I really wish, Tracy, that you were born the same year that Rocky came out, but I don't
Right.
think
it would have
It-
worked, but it did
would've
not.
Dang it, Tracy.
I know. Curse my age.
All right, fine. What's your stupid movie?
Wow. Wow.
Just
That's where
kidding,
we're going.
Tracy. I'm just kidding, Tracy.
Picking up from the last episode, just continuing on. Previously,
I love you.
you can tell.
If I don't
My
give you a hard time, I don't like you.
Well, this is
Yeah.
this is one I don't think is stupid, and it's
Well,
one we've talked about. It's one we talked about on this show, but it was in my birth year, which was 1975, and that is Steven Spielberg's Jaws.
Yay!
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. And also not surprising. I don't think any of us have picked a surprise pick yet.
Not yet. No, I think I've
Oh,
got,
I'm getting
I've got
there.
at least one. I've got at least one that'll surprise you.
I don't think I've got a surprise on my list at all.
But yeah, this is one. This is where like the shark movie obsession started. You know, and coming up this Christmas, there is a Christmas. You know how they just released that that Pilgrim killing movie Thanksgiving.
Yes.
You know,
Yes. It's
there
it's
is-
a movie where the pilgrim kills people, not that they're killing pilgrims. Just
right. Yeah.
So
that'd be-
just another day in history.
well, except that he's like a monster. It's a slasher.
Yeah.
Which is also
Again.
very historically accurate.
Yeah,
So-
I'm like just yeah.
but this
But
time
like in modern times, it's like now happening right now. Not
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
pilgrim.
it actually has like 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. So,
Sure it does. I'm sure it does.
but anyway, but
Okay, I
no,
will tell you something
the
about
point of
Rotten
this
Tomatoes.
is there is a Christmas shark movie out there, and it's called Santa Jaws, and it's
Ah,
horrible but wonderful at the same time. So,
okay.
but
Okay.
yeah, I mean, we talked about it before. It's such a good movie. The little boy that gets eaten, just little Alex. I can't think of his last name, and it's driving me crazy all of a sudden. Anyway, because it's such a great quote about how I don't want to sit here and cut open a shark and have the little boy fall out over the dock, you know. And
Yeah,
but I can't think of it now. Anyway,
it is a great line.
remember it later, and I'll feel stupid. But it's such a good
Like,
movie.
you will
It's so
you'll
well
shout it like, "Ah!"
done.
Versus
I'll look that up
so
real quick. and
far,
you go ahead.
yeah. So far, we all agree on our first round of picks.
Kittner, the little Kittner
I
boy.
think I'm going to be okay in both of your books for my second round. Now, all three of my movies are very, very different movies. So
All
I'm
right.
going from Rocky 2 to the Muppet movie.
Hey!
I love this is my favorite Muppet movie. It's the
Uh-huh.
original, and it's where we got all the great songs, and we get Kermit singing with his little banjo, and we get the Rainbow song, Rainbow Connection, which we all sang in preschool and elementary.
Moving right
This
along.
is the best. I watched this movie so much, but I do want to say something about movies from the 1970s. Go watch the trailers to all of these
Oh, yeah.
movies. I'm going to put some on my What to See with Val page because the Muppet movie trailer and Rocky 2 are hilarious. Like, they're hilarious.
Yeah.
So go watch them. It's funny.
My favorite movie trailer from the 1970s is the Star Wars, like the original Star Wars one, because they had no idea what to do with that one to market it. And so it's just really generic and bland. And you're like, anyway.
I still think the Muppets one is good because they're like, they call Miss Piggy this single woman, like out on the town.
Yeah, trailers are much different now.
Oh my gosh.
I recently rewatched the trailer for Fargo, and I was like, "Wow!" And that
I'm
was
going
like
to jump into that one tonight.
Yeah. So,
but anyway, so the Muppet movie is my second choice for my favorite movie. Second favorite movie from 1979.
I remember seeing Star Wars and the Muppet movie in the theater.
What?
I was so scared when Kermit's bike got run over by the cement plow thing.
Sure.
Oh, it freaked me out when I was a kid.
Yeah. It's traumatic, really, when you see something like that as a kid. I also like that you share that with us, Tracy, so we can remember just how old you actually are. So
I was remembering the movies in the year you were born, you kids.
Yeah. I was like a freshman in high school by the time my movies were coming out.
Boom.
So my next one from 1982, we've already talked about Ridley Scott earlier on this episode. So I'm going with Blade Runner.
Oh, excellent
Nice choice. Nice choice.
This to me is what sci-fi was in this era, in the 1980s and even into the 1990s. And I think it's something that's missing from a lot of the sci-fi that we see today, because it wasn't part of a franchise. It wasn't some super well-known story or based on a comic book or anything like that. It was original content in a lot of ways, and it just made you think. Like science fiction, even the books written in the 50s, 60s, 70s, they really made you stop and think more deeply about like life and reality, and the whole debate of who was a replicant and who wasn't, and things like that. It's just really well done. Harrison Ford is amazing in this. I mean, this is not Indiana Jones. It's not Han Solo, and we get a different Harrison Ford, but still just amazing job and performance in it. So Blade Runner.
And so many other movies tried to capture that. I remember remember Cherry 2000? Is that what it's called?
Yep.
I remember watching that. And it was before I was allowed, or before I had seen Blade Runner. And then later in life, when I saw Blade Runner, I'm like, this came before, because, and then all these other kind of AI or, replicant or whatever movies, like it just spun this really cool, suggestion, like you said, Jake, in that science fiction, that just seeing movies like that, but we didn't see anything like that. All the coloring in the movie, was so something like we just hadn't seen. Like you would see that in like a horror film or something, all those different darks and lights and the sound and it's so good. And they tried to capture it in the new Blade Runner movie. And I don't have an issue with the new one. I enjoyed it, but there's nothing like the original, like I've watched both of them several times over the past 10 years.
Yeah. I didn't see Blade Runner until I was working at the video store. And so unfortunately, the first time I saw it was on VHS. And so all those beautiful blues and grays and blacks were just black because that's how VHS was.
It was just mud.
When Blade Runner 2049 came out, they re-released Blade Runner and a remastered copy, so I got to see it on the big screen and then go right into 2049, and that was a fun science fiction geek episode for me. Yeah,
I really love how they kept the coloring in both movies. They had the deep blues, they had the embers, they had, you know, all of. It's so great. Yeah, good choice.
And
good choice.
With multiple, depending on how you feel, there are multiple endings to that movie.
Right.
There's different.
I love a movie that even, you know, 41 years later, we're still talking about what the ending meant and what it was, and like that. You did a good job with a movie when that's the case. Thing, Blade Runner, those are all movies that's like nobody really knows,
and it's interesting too. If you go and watch some of those other cuts, it's interesting how there's not a lot in terms of length. There's not a whole lot of difference, but it completely changes the movie.
Yeah, because
in the Ridley Scott cut, you have the non-Harrison Ford narration. There's a lot of changes. It's like Terry Gilliam's Brazil. There's very different movies based on which edit you see.
Yeah, there's a good one. I'm sure most of our listeners have watched Brazil. That's probably a huge hit.
All right, Tracy, make it good, because it counts on you for round 2.
Sorry, Tracy.
This is after dark. This is when we always have Jake with these good, quick things.
So when I worked at the video store, we used to do employee picks, and I worked with a lot of teenage girls, and so all of them had like While You Were Sleeping and stuff like that, which is all fine. But then I was like my film school self, and so I was putting up Blade Runner and Brazil, and I would find like themes to go through mine, and so it'd be like obscure stuff like The Cinematographer, and people would just like either love my picks or hate them. It's like the Seinfeld episode where Elaine, you know,
this is the second Seinfeld reference that we've made tonight. What is going on? I hardly ever reference Seinfeld.
I mean, it's not a bad thing.
No, it's not. But I went there too when you were saying. I was like, yeah, it's the guy from the video store that Elaine starts to follow.
Elaine loves his picks, and then he lives at home with his mother. And
Tracy, you need to do like special, like Tracy's video store diaries story, and just do like a 15-minute a month for movies that make us, and tell us like really, just go on and tell a really good short story about an instance at the video store.
I got cursed by a pregnant woman once. I'll save that one for another day.
That's just another Tuesday.
Well, that's a good tease right there.
There you go.
It's all hanging on you now, whether or not round 2 is going to be another really good round.
Right. I think you will approve of this one. Now, this particular group of movies, this one is not my favorite, although it is for a lot of people. I think there are better ones out there, but we're going to go with Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Okay. Yeah, I'm on board with that. Love it. Love it.
Yeah, Life of Brian came out my year, which is people either love Life of Brian or hate it.
Is one of my all-time favorite. We saw that as a family on Easter once, and that was during COVID.
The Holy Grail. Oh my gosh, so many quotes. I love it so much.
I felt like Holy Grail was like a rite of passage for a teenage boy in the 90s.
Yes.
Like, if your friends were nerdy, it's like, hey, we got to sit down. Or a teenager. I shouldn't say teenage boy, because there are plenty of girls that I know that did it.
Right.
So, but it was like a rite of passage. If you were in that kind of group of friends.
Pre-internet, so you just had to watch it over and over on VHS to memorize it.
Yeah.
I remember that I saw this for the first time when I was skipping school at Taylorsville High School. And I was a sophomore, and we all went over to a friend's house, and I think like I knew I was odd before, but like not like I knew I was a little bit of a closet nerd, because I couldn't really be like a full-on nerd. Right, and I knew I was different from like all the other girls, right? But when I go over to my friend's house and there's a bunch of us and they turn this on, I had never seen it before, and I am laughing. And then I'm realizing what I'm watching, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I am so weird. Like, I just at that moment realized I am a full-on nerd and I am weird. Yeah, and I'm in this house with like 5 guys that were my friends, and they've all seen it and know the quotes and all of that. And so one of them lent me the VHS, and I brought it home, and I'm watching it, and my mom's like, what the heck are you watching? and it's just so good, so good.
That was the first movie that really made me realize that I was very different from the rest of my family, because I remember getting excited about it, having seen it with some friends, and putting it like, you guys, we got to watch this. My dad and my stepmom, we started watching it. I was like, this is such a dumb movie. And I was like, what?
No,
are my parents not funny? Is that what I've just learned? Like, they don't have anyway. Nobody else in my family likes it because nobody else is.
I think this movie, when you watch it, you realize that you are different from, because either you watch this movie and you are totally on board for it, or you watch it and you do not understand why people like it at all. And so you fit in two categories. There are not people out there that are like, I mean,
it's okay,
whatever. Like there are, like, I've never met anybody that's in the middle.
Right.
You either love it or you dislike it. And,
Yeah. There are so many parts that I quote like way too regularly. Like, it's a flesh wound.
A flesh wound all the time.
Every time.
I do a lot of green, no yellow. Bring out your dead.
Your mother smells of elderberries.
Yeah. So many. When people talk about coconuts and I start asking them about swallows and how far they could carry them, if it was an African or a Europe. Anyway.
And either they're like, that was good, or they're like, what the heck are you talking about?
Yeah. I did when I broke my hip. That makes it sound like I'm 90 years old, but in 2020 when that happened and my wife came and helped me get in the car and I was in a lot of pain, I said, it's a flesh wound. Like, it's what are you talking about? I'm like, I don't know. I'm delirious.
It's the morphine.
Listen, at this point, all I could do is revert to movie quotes. That's all I've got.
Good choices. All right. So round 2, good to go. Round 3, my love for war movies. On my flight home tonight, I watched Saving Private Ryan for the millionth time. You can go see it in theaters right now.
Yeah.
But my last movie for my top 3 is Apocalypse Now.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That is a good one.
So, I mean, Apocalypse Now, you have Martin Sheen, Robert Duvall, Albert Hall, Lawrence Fishburne, Harrison Ford, like Marlon Brando. It is Francis Ford Coppola. Like, it's, I think I just lost you guys. Did you lose me? Am I still here?
No, you're here.
You all went black on my side. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're good.
So yeah, for me, the story, the cinematography, the drama, there's just so much. I think it's with these actors, even, I think it holds up because there are some moments in Apocalypse Now that I have never seen these actors, even since that movie, play this type of emotion on screen. For me, so
yeah, and the introduction to a lot of us to Flight of the Valkyrie.
Yeah,
that's a good choice. My third one, I don't think will be a surprise at all once I say it. I will say it was really hard to narrow it down to 3 movies for 1982.
Oh, we're gonna have runners up. No worries.
Yeah, so we get to that. But and I think honestly, you take any year, and it's hard to narrow it down to 3 movies.
Yeah, but you have one of the best years of movies. We've talked about it before.
Yeah. You had an abundance of good choices.
You have a plethora of
Would
choices.
you say he has a plethora?
And now I feel like my third pick is going to be a disappointment because there were so many. No, it'll be fine. But it's Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan.
Nice.
Which is my favorite Star Trek movies.
Nice.
It is so good. It holds up still pretty well. I still have nightmares and fears that I'm going to get a little earwig or something in my ear, like the little bug that they put in there. We've
talked about this movie on the show.
We have.
And I made fun of most of it, but yeah. I get it.
If you're not a Star Trek fan, you're not going to be a fan of this movie. Like, that's what it is, right? It's for Star Trek fans. But if you like Star Trek, I think this is one of the better
I
Star
just
Trek.
thought Khan was like, just like, you know,
Listen, he knew he had it. You know, whatever it is, he had
blowing
it.
in the wind, both his chest hair and the hair on his head.
He
think he
had
had
to
chest
be
hair.
a similar age
That's
to
wax,
William
man.
Shatner. But Shatner's not going around with an open chest like that.
No, but Ricardo,
Ricardo.
when you have pecs like that, you unleash them.
I think
It's like
get a lot of
Jason Momoa.
attention, but I think we should also focus on his bangs a little bit because he had
Yeah,
some
that
good
hair.
For sure.
That hair, man.
Yeah,
So-
but I'm just saying when you have pecs like that, it's
yeah.
contractually obligated. It's Jason Momoa. He has to have his shirt open and everything.
I wonder how much oil they went through, and if he had one or two oilers. That in between takes, they went and like oiled him up.
Now I want to watch the credits just to see if they have like,
Let me know what you find.
You went with Jason Momoa taking his shirt off. I was thinking it's like Kevin Costner's butt because for a while
Yeah.
in the 90s, every
Yeah.
Kevin Costner movie
That's
had his
true.
butt.
That's a
Or
very
Kevin's
good point.
bacon. Just flailing
No.
out there.
Okay.
For a while
Kevin's
there, he
bacon?
had it. I think he had it in his contract.
Yeah.
I was so scared to
Sorry,
see
I'm
a
not
Kevin
gonna
Bacon
take
movie
this
in the
movie if they
90s.
can't
I was afraid they're like, Kevin Bacon's in it. I'm like, no, I'm not going.
have- Good thing you weren't a critic back then,
I mean, I would have had opinions.
but you would have had to have seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she would have then shared her opinions.
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
that's a win there. But
Yeah.
all right, Tracy.
All right, this one is going to get Val yelling at me, I'm sure,
Uh-oh.
because
It's been really peaceful so far.
So
So
we've had two really good solid movies, right? And this one is a childhood favorite, and it's one that I grew up on. We watched it all the time.
Okay.
This one has Don Knotts,
okay.
Tim Conway,
Oh.
the Apple Dumpling Gang.
Okay. Listen,
It's a good
knowing our audience is located primarily in Utah and that this movie has an unbelievable cult following in Utah, I'm saying nothing negative about it. It's a classic. People love it.
I have a story about it that I don't know if I can share on this show.
Ooh.
So go ahead and
Ooh.
say your pick so everybody knows.
Ooh. Well, no, I just did. Yeah.
Did I miss it?
Apple Dumpling Gang.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think my internet is weird because you guys keep going in and out. As long as I'm here.
I think she's on 11:15 Eastern time right
Yeah.
now.
You've been there the whole time. You haven't blacked out.
Okay, good.
Yeah, no, you're
All
good.
right.
It's been a while since I've seen it, but that one was on the list, and I'm like,
Why
you know
would
what?
I be angry about it?
Just because
I
the
don't-
last couple times we've done this, I've had a pick that you got angry about, so I thought this
So
would
you
be.
just assumed.
Yeah, I'm like, she's not
I
going
mean,
to be mad at us.
I
She's
don't
not gonna be
care
mad at
about
me.
it, but I'm not angry about it. I think I've seen this movie half of this movie one time. So I don't have an opinion
This was one
about this movie.
This was one where Sandy Starship used to have a summer movie club where you could get like 20 movies for $10.
Mhm.
And like my mom would drop us off and we would go watch it, and then she'd go see something else, or she'd go shopping and then come pick us back up. And this was one that was up there along with Donnie and Marie Go Bananas.
Yeah.
That was one of the movies that was there that weekend too.
All right.
Apple Dumpling Gang, there is a huge, like I said, huge cult appreciation
Tim
for
Conway,
Apple
Don
Dumpling.
Knotts.
Yeah. I did not grow up watching it, and so I've seen it a couple of times, but it's not like that nostalgia factor for me.
Right.
It's not that. I think Tim Conway and Don Knotts are incredibly talented and incredibly funny. And if you aren't familiar with their work, you should go. Like, if you like comedy, you need to go back.
Google
and
Tim
familiarize
Conway and the Dentist.
Oh yeah, I mean he was brilliant. Physical comedy, there's nobody, very few that did it better than Tim Conway. So, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with the movie. It just doesn't have that same place in my heart that it does for a lot of people because they grew up watching it, like you, Tracy. And I think that's awesome. So,
I gotta see it now. I want to see if it's on Disney Plus. I mean,
Yeah, I thought you were going to get mad at me, Tracy, because I didn't have Alien in one of my 3 choices,
That's a
but
good one.
it is in my runners up. So I'm just going to run through my list of runners up. So these are not in any particular order. Superman 2.
Okay.
Hair.
Okay.
Alien. Mad Max. Kramer versus Kramer. Life of Brian. And just for you, Jake, Star Trek the Motion Picture.
You don't have to put that one on for me.
No,
It was bad, right?
It
Was
was
it
really
bad? I've never seen it, but it was made that year. So
if it hadn't happened, there wouldn't be Star Trek 2 and there wouldn't be the other movies. But yeah, it was
all right.
not.
Well, I'm putting a big fat line through it. But
Yeah.
Superman 2, I really like. Hair.
Yes.
I feel like Hair technically, like it, there were some things that were good about it. Not one of my favorites, but I think it's worth mentioning. Alien, Mad Max. I mean, come on. Kramer versus Kramer was actually a really good movie, and I wouldn't mind revisiting that. And then Life of Brian, which again, either people really love it or they really hate it. Some people think that they shouldn't have made that one. But I mean, you can think what you want.
Yeah, but they push the envelope a lot and frequently, and so anyway.
Yeah, I mean that's what they do. If you went in thinking they weren't going to.
Yeah.
By the way, it's also not real. So
well,
it's just comedy.
And it's just like anything, right? If it's something that the content you feel like may not be your cup of tea,
yeah,
you don't have to buy a ticket and you don't have to go watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
So
keep scrolling, kids.
Yeah, exactly. So for my runners up,
it's like 70 movies.
There's quite a few. I didn't. Again, E.T. is not on this list because I feel like that's just in a category of its own, and I'm not going to put it on a runners up list because that just seems wrong. But in 1982, we did have The Thing. We had
so good.
We had 48 Hours.
Another good one.
We had, let's see, Conan the Barbarian, Tron, The Dark Crystal, Annie, First Blood. I mean, the list really goes on. Porky's, I know that's obviously a favorite. Poltergeist. But just a bunch of really good movies. And it, like I said, it just goes on and on. It really was a great year for film and for the decade. So
I did want to mention too, because I forgot it, even though it's written in my notes. Speaking of First Blood, like I know this is a little bit different, but 1979, apparently, like if you love obscure kung fu movies, there's a lot of them.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of them. So
yeah, late 70s, early 80s, there was a lot.
I also want to point out 1982 was a good year for like cross-dressing in movies because you get Tootsie and Victor Victoria.
Okay.
So
and
Gandhi was also, that's not cross-dressing.
Was probably right in that time period.
Which one?
Bosom Buddies was probably right in that time period.
Yeah, which is, if you got Bosom Buddies, I used to think that was like a fever dream that I had as a kid seeing those reruns. It wasn't actually real, but no, it is a real series where Tom Hanks and his roommate had to dress up as women so they could have the apartment that they were living in.
Yeah. Yeah. And the whole coloring of that series is like a glamour shot picture.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's the coloring of the show is like, you know, all of the hues of a glamour shot.
Yep.
That's yeah.
Yep.
All right, Tracy.
All right, then some of the ones from 1975 that were notable. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson. Dog Day Afternoon. That was my first serious Al Pacino film. Didn't see that one until I was in college.
There's some good quotes in that movie too.
That was his first one. He saw it when he was like 6 months old. It was great. He was a changed man after watching that one.
No, like I saw Al Pacino and like Dick Tracy and some other stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, this was my first like 70s Pacino.
Yeah.
By the time we were like self-aware enough of like actors and stuff, like Al Pacino had kind of started doing more of that kind of like Dick Tracy,
almost parodying himself at times. By the time
he also had an oiler.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. The Disney classic, The Boy Who Talked to Badgers. Came out in 1975.
I do not think I've seen that. I didn't even know that was a thing.
By the way, the
Honey Badgers?
No, The Boy Who Talked to Badgers. Different show. Yeah.
No, but he's
Rick
just talking to
Springfield,
regular badgers, not honey badgers.
Nope, just regular badgers. Rick Springfield got his idea for this song from Jesse's Girls, the Western. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Back to serious ones, Funny Lady.
Okay.
Barbra Streisand.
Yeah. Is that a true fact about Rick Springfield in that song?
No.
Okay.
Just Tracy, we would have believed you. You should have said yes.
Absolutely. That's where you got it from. Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
I think that movie is awful. I'm sorry. I'm going to get hate mail. I think that movie is awful.
I think that movie is 100% about the experience of going and seeing it on a late night.
In-person experience, performances. Yes. But I sat down and watched that movie 3 years ago. Awful.
Yeah, it's like Sharknado. You can't watch it by yourself. You have to watch it with the right people.
You watch it by yourself, Tracy.
Sharknado. We know you watch Sharknado by yourself.
Well, yeah.
Rocky Picture Horror Show it's like the Kiss of movies. Like Kiss is not good musically, but they put on a great show and you go for the experience. And that's what you're there for.
That's a good point.
Good job.
Stepford Wives.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Which is not a great movie, but it was a cultural touchstone. A great B movie, The Giant Spider Invasion. And Terror of Mechagodzilla, because you got to have a Godzilla.
Ooh, yeah.
I feel like I left Tron off my list, and I'm feeling really bad about it because that needs to be on the list.
I liked Tron. I'll fight you, Tracy.
It's really
cool.
You and your apple bottom boys.
Yeah, apple dumpling gang.
That's one you do not want to Google. Do not Google.
I'll take Tron against your apple bottom boys any day of the week. Tron will win.
For a long time, I had a really hard time in my mind differentiating between Apple Dumpling Gang and then a local movie called The Buttercream Gang. Did you guys ever hear of it?
No.
Okay. Well, someone out there listening will have heard of
They will appreciate that.
And it is not the same as Apple Dumpling Gang. Anyway.
Or Apple Bottom Boys. None of them.
Apple Bottom Boys. That's a whole different genre. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, those are our picks. Go out and watch them if you dare.
So things to look forward to later this year. We've got we're going to do Next Goal Wins, which we talked about. Well, of course, as Jake mentioned, we'll do our Academy Awards kind of preview.
I think it's just our award season. I think we should just do award season picks. Yeah.
And then, of course, as we get ready to get out to Disneyland in just a few, 2 months, holy cow, we should do a Disney one to celebrate.
Yeah, we'll do some live stuff there and maybe talk about some Disney movies. And then a week and a half after we get back, I got 2 weeks of Sundance. So
yes.
Nice.
Yes. Oh, and we will be most likely doing something with some people to celebrate the anniversary of the Prince of Egypt.
Yes. So we'll have hopefully some more information on that to announce soon.
Yes.
I'm excited about that.
So that would be a good one coming up.
So even though it's been a few weeks since we've done an episode, we've got some good stuff coming. So stick with us, folks.
Absolutely.
We have plans.
We have plans, big plans.
Stay with us. We love you.
Plans.
We still need to talk about the Marvels because we haven't done that one yet.
I mean, I have to see it first. So
yeah, which is why we haven't done it yet. But
yeah, I think we should just do a year in Marvel movies.
I don't think I want to do that this year.
I think we should because it's the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Next year we're only getting one, so
yeah, I think we should do like an end of the year Marvel roundup.
Next year, all we're getting is Deadpool 3.
That doesn't even count.
We're getting a couple of series. We're getting a couple of Marvel series next year, and we're getting a Marvel Sony movie next year.
Yeah, there's a couple coming, and that they look awful.
Yeah.
Madam Web looks.
Oh, Madam Web looks so bad.
It
When
looks.
you-
Why
when you
did they
become-
cast her anyway? I
Oh,
think we should definitely do like a Marvel roundup of our thoughts, what happened this year, and then what's to come. Let's do a whole episode on it. We'll have opinions, and
just
not
have to
all of them
say-
are going to be good ones.
When you release a trailer and a line from the trailer becomes like an instant internet meme, you know that it's a bad movie.
Well, and they said in the description of the movie that they can't call Spider-Man Spider-Man
Correct.
because of the rules of the contract now. So they're calling him something else. We'll talk. Anyways, we'll talk about it. I have issues.
But yeah.
Why even make the movie if you cannot call Spider-Man Spider-Man?
Because they need to make money, and this is Spider-Man.
There's so many
adjacent.
other things you can
It's
do.
Spider-Man adjacent.
They
It's
have
crazy.
to, and they probably have to do.
I'm
so many
adjacent
movies.
from Spider-Man. We're all Spider-Man adjacent.
You have a tattoo,
Yeah.
so
Come on,
I will
Sony.
say the only thing that was really exciting about Madam Web was I could show my son that they were making that, because last year his teacher's name was Miss Webb, and I kept saying, "Oh, Madam Webb." He's like, "No, it's Miss Webb," and he would get frustrated with me every time. So
and now you feel like, see, your dad knows what
It
you're
was
talking
a
about.
Spider-Man character. Trust me, this kid's like a walking encyclopedia of Spider-Man characters. But
Well, we're going to have opinions. Maybe we should have Neil on for this
For sure.
episode
For sure.
so we can really get angry.
so, all right,
Awesome.
there you go. There are movies from the years that we were born.
Hey, buddy.
No regard for professionalism at all. He's just going to pop his
My
head.
dogs are in here snorting, so we're fine.
This is how we roll on movies that make us.
That's we're all family
It's
here.
real life. It's real life.
Absolutely.
Well, and until next time, thank you everyone for listening. We appreciate your support, and we won't see you at the movies.
And
Or
they
will
call
we?
them the Apple Dumpling Gang.
This has been an Age of Geek media production.